at a place now where, like I want to take what I find to be super fights. I don't want to fight dangerous up-and-comers anymore. I want to fight dangerous, established champions.
So Jon Jones knocks out Stipe Miocic this Saturday at a heavyweight fight. And firstly, obviously, it was a good performance from Jon Jones. I have to agree with Dana White. I do think that he is the greatest UFC fighter of all time. Obviously, there's a few other people that come into that mix, but I think if you look at accolades, resume, and what he's done, and the fact that he's pretty much undefeated throughout his entire career, champion very young, I do think that he is the greatest UFC fighter of all time. Put on a very good performance against Miocic, but I have to be honest about what I saw in that fight. Miocic obviously is a 42-year-old former great fighter, but hasn't fought in 3.5, almost 4 years. And he looked a shell of himself. He looked so slow in that cage. And really, he offered no real threat to Jon Jones. Jon Jones fought at the range that Jon Jones is very good at, kept it long, mixed up his punches, and the kick to the stomach that ended the fight was tremendous. The placement was very good, and his all-around performance looked great. Now, obviously, where this video comes into play, there is an interim UFC heavyweight champion, Tom Aspinall. He was obviously front and center at this fight. And for me, that is the fight that needs to happen. Obviously, you saw Dana White say that will be the biggest heavyweight fight of all time in the UFC. And I probably would have to agree. It's the biggest one that I can think of. Now, as for that fight, and I'm obviously, keep in mind, I'm watching the Jon Jones against Stipe Miocic fight, thinking to myself, what would Tom Aspinall do in this situation? And I'm sorry, I really think that Tom Aspinall beats him and beats him quite convincingly. Now, Tom Aspinall, I'm actually someone that I don't really like these crossover fights. I was never a big fan of Ngannou against Anthony Joshua. I also wasn't the biggest fan of McGregor against Floyd, Ngannou against Tyson Fury. I don't really like these crossover fights. But Tom Aspinall is probably the one fighter in UFC that I think if he crosses over to boxing, he could have some serious success. He is so skilled. He's really skilled. For someone his size and his weight, he's so light on his feet. He gets in and out of range so well. He's got power in that right hand. And when he has you hurt, he really has you hurt. He slips shots very well. He's very good defensively. He's actually got a real boxing stance. He sees shots coming, and he's defensively very good. And just his movement, he's got very good upper body movement, and he's obviously got the size advantage over Jon Jones. Tom Aspinall's all wrong for him, and I could see Tom Aspinall winning that fight quite comfortably. Now, as I said in the video, Jon Jones is very good at his range. Aspinall's not going to let him do that. He's not going to let Jon Jones establish his range. Aspinall is more powerful. He's more explosive. He's quicker. He's sharper. He's better defensively. Jon Jones does get hit, and if you get hit by this guy, you're in serious trouble. And I just think he's all wrong for him. Now, you've obviously heard some of the things that Jon Jones is saying. Really, he's petitioning to get the Pereira fight. It's really Pereira or retire. Or at the slight chance that he does fight Tom Aspinall, he wants insane amounts of money. So he's basically pricing himself out. But then again, he still says things like Tom Aspinall is so dangerous, and he doesn't want to risk his record. Jon Jones knows exactly how dangerous Tom Aspinall is, and trust me, I think he knows what I know as well. And this is a nightmare matchup for him. And this happens in sports. Sometimes there's new up and comers coming up that, they may not have the resume that you have, they may not have the accolades that you have, but in a one-on-one fight, could win. And that's what I see in this fight. And to be honest, I actually think Tom Aspinall can potentially beat him quite easily. He's just so technically good. He's the better technical fighter. He's the better physical athlete, in my opinion. And that's very rare. I think in a lot of Jon Jones fights, especially on the weekend, he's almost always the better athlete. I actually think in the Aspinall fight, Tom Aspinall is actually the better overall athlete than Jon Jones. So look, I hope that fight happens. Sometime in 2025. It's obviously a fight that Aspinall wants. Dana White wants it. The fans want it. So let's hope that we get it. I think it would just be tremendous, and one that I think, like I said, I think Aspinall wins it.